Hello, and thank you for joining me once again. This is the Divine Odyssey. I'm your host, Karan, the Seeker, and I'm going to be your guide on this spiritual journey through the chakras. This is the fourth recording in a 7-month series that I've been doing on Eventbrite, where we are discussing the 7 main chakras one by one. So these meetings are held on the first Wednesday of the month, and there's an Eventbrite link right in the description. It'll be right at the top. So click on that link, register for the remaining events, and, come get some insight on each of the chakras as we go through them live. The benefit that you get from joining the live event is that, it's more interactive, right? We can speak to each other. At the end of the session, we have a group discussion, and we also meditate together, which is just a wonderful feeling when you meditate with another group of people. I can't really describe it. You have to just, experience it for yourself. If you've never seen any of these videos before, or if you haven't joined any of the previous events, or you missed one, definitely check out the playlist that will also be in the description. The playlist has a recording of each chakra that we've gone through, and the main benefit of that is that as we go through each session, we're building upon what we learned before, right? So this is not, separate from each other. Each session is building on information from the previous chakra, or from, 2 or more of the previous chakras, right? Everything is connected. And I do my best to connect all of the dots for you so that everything makes sense as we develop and become stronger and more balanced in one area. It leads us to the next area, to the next chakra. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to go through the heart chakra. Before we do, let me give you a quick outlook on, what we're hoping to achieve, what the purpose is of all of these meetings. So what are we trying to accomplish here? The world doesn't change unless we change. What I want you to do is use these meetings as a study guide of your true self. Understanding the chakras and how they work is just a method of teaching self-mastery. By understanding ourselves, we can better understand others. And if we can all, interact with each other with more love, more empathy, more compassion, hopefully by doing so, we can add more positivity to our world. But that change starts with the person you see in the mirror every single day. And that's you. We can't change other people. We can only control ourselves. So if we want to see change in the world around us, then we have to change. So as I mentioned, I am Karan, the Seeker, and the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm holding these events, the reason I'm, writing so much, doing so much research, is because I am searching for the truth about this universe, the truth about us, and the truth about how we can all be better. In fact, I know that life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change, right? I just spoke about that. We have to change if we want to see things different in our world. So that is the reason why I'm doing all of these things. That's the reason why I hold these events. That's the reason why I started this channel, the Relax, Meditate, Rejuvenate channel. I started this YouTube channel so that, people can make time for themselves to sit, to self-reflect, and transform not only themselves, but like I said, the world around them. So I have all of my social media information at the bottom. I have information here about the book that I wrote. I am the author of Mental Alchemy, Transform Your Life by Transforming Your Mind. And my website is there, mindbodyrejuvenation.io. So definitely keep up with me, keep up with the events that I'm holding on Eventbrite, visit the website, and let's just continue to grow, to learn more, to figure out how to be better so that we can reveal our best self, so that as everyone keeps saying, we can actually live our best life, right? That doesn't just randomly happen. We have to take action towards it. So, this is me helping all of us take action towards living a better life. Additionally, we do have a few people who regularly come to these meetings. We've kind of, started to form our own group now. It's like when we get on to start these Divine Odyssey meetings, it's like, oh, hey, so and so, hey, how's it going, right? We're kind of becoming a nice little community, and I would love for that to grow because we all need support. And when you're going through change, when you're bettering yourself, when you're starting to transform and think differently, see things differently, it can kind of separate you from the people who are used to interacting with you as who you were before, right? So sometimes you really need that group, that support, other people who are like minded or other people who are on the journey. So join the group, get up in the chat, come have a conversation with us, and just enjoy being a part of the community. One more quick announcement before we jump into our study for tonight. I have started a weekly yoga breathing class for stress and anxiety relief. These classes are held on Wednesdays in the evening. And the reason I started these is because I see an overwhelming amount of people who are stressed out and cannot seem to find the relief. There's, a lot of overthinking, maybe stress from work, people feeling overwhelmed with all of the responsibilities that they have at home. And, some people just tell me that they're struggling to sleep or struggling to stay asleep. Yoga breathing can help with all of those things and more. Now imagine this. Let's say you're having one of those stressful days at work, right? The boss is getting on your nerves, you have too much work to do, that lady that's always harassing you is popping drunk, whatever. It's a stressful day. Now what happens, right? You get overly excited, right? You want to maybe hit somebody with your flip-flop. Maybe you want to curse someone out. But you can't do that, right? Because that's usually frowned upon in workplaces. So all you're doing is sitting there holding it in. You're frustrated, you're aggravated, you're annoyed, you want to leave, you don't know why you're here. All of those things, right? Now, 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen? You're going to sit there, middle of the day, feeling like that. And by the end of that workday, you're still going to be feeling the same exact way. You're going to leave your job and go home with all of those feelings I just described, right? That feeling of aggravation, that feeling of frustration, that high level of anxiety, that feeling that you want to fling a laptop at someone, that feeling that you want to take your flip-flop off and go wham and slap somebody across the face with it. That's all of the energy that you're taking home to your husband, to your wife, to your kids, to your pet. Now imagine another way. Imagine that same stress coming on, right? Because you can't control what other people are going to do throughout the day. But imagine now having a way to better handle that. Instead of sitting there in that high level of frustration, you can relax yourself. You can put your mind at ease. You can calm your body. Right? So instead of you going home with all of that same level of high frustration, you're already at ease, you're already at peace. That's what yoga breathing can do for you. Yoga breathing is simply breathing exercises that help you regulate your nervous system, help you change your mental and emotional state, so that you can have that peaceful feeling, so that you can feel relaxed. Even if you can't get it throughout the day, you can get home and put yourself into that state, right? You can relieve yourself of all of that stress. You can relieve yourself of all of that anxiety, right? That makes a huge difference in anybody's day. So join the weekly yoga breathing class. It's on Wednesdays. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a great tool. All right, let's do a quick review of the solar plexus chakra. Our last meeting, we discussed all the things you may be feeling physically, emotionally, and psychologically when this chakra is in balance versus when it's out of balance. When it's in balance, you may be feeling confident, positive, empowered, have a high sense of purpose, have a healthy self-esteem, have a sense of joy, be driven, feel motivated, live your life with integrity, feel collaborative, and be decisive. And when it's out of balance, you may feel like you have no sense of purpose. You may feel indecisive, which of course makes sense, right? If you don't have a sense of purpose. You may also experience low self-esteem, have a lack of ambition, have a lack of fire. You may feel unmotivated, have low energy, may have a superiority complex, feel controlling, overly aggressive, micromanage things, or you may be unable to bring things into being. So if you feel like your solar plexus chakra is kind of out of balance, here are some tips you can use to bring it back in balance, back in alignment. Break the routine. Do something different. Take risk. Be confident. In relationships where you feel like you lose a sense of yourself, listen to your internal guidance system. Exercise your willpower. Be decisive. Exercise your power of personal choice. Discover who you truly are. Use crystals such as pyrite, yellow calcite, amber, yellow quartz. And of course, there's sound healing and exercises. You can use meditation bowls, 528 hertz music, and you can also use yoga poses and meditation to help bring your solar plexus chakra back in alignment. So now we can begin going over the heart chakra. As usual, I will share the basic details of the chakras. I'll go over the function of the heart chakra. We'll talk about what you feel when it's in balance and what you feel when it's out of balance. And I'll provide you some healing tips. And then, of course, we'll have a 5-minute meditation at the end to reflect and say some affirmations to ourselves to start bringing ourselves back in balance. Our Divine Odyssey is about our journey upwards through the chakras. So for that reason, we start at the base of our spine and we raise our energy upward to the crown. So we start from the root, we go to the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, throat, third eye, and then the crown, right? These are the 7 main chakras. The word chakra means wheel in Sanskrit, and the reason it's termed wheel is because these are energy centers where the energy is spinning. Each chakra correlates to an element, a frequency, a color, and a physical part of the body, as well as, certain types of thoughts, certain feelings, emotions. Now, our heart chakra is super important to our system because the heart chakra is 4th out of the 7, and that puts it right in the middle. This means that since it's in the middle of the chakra system, energy needs to be flowing freely to help prevent blockages. Whenever we experience blockages in one chakra, it's very likely that we will experience blockages in other chakras, right? If you're imbalanced in one area, it creates issues in another area. And that's why it's so important to, like I said, follow along with this study so that you can see how each thing layers upon each other, right? If you have problems in one area, it's going to knock something else out of whack. The Sanskrit word for the heart chakra is anahata, which means unstruck or unhurt. I thought that was a very interesting term to have for this chakra, especially considering that we hear people talk about having a broken heart all the time, right? It's such a common thing, unfortunately. But we'll dive back into that a little later. Let's take a look at some more details about this chakra. The element for the heart chakra is air. The color is green. The frequency is 639 hertz. And the body part it's located in is the chest. And this is also associated with the thymus gland. So, what is the function of the heart chakra? Well, it's love, right? Surprise, surprise. The function of this chakra is your ability and capacity to love. Now, I asked this during our live session, and I want you to think about this too. What comes to mind for you when you hear the word love? What does that word mean to you? Do you just think about your kids? Do you think about, a romantic relationship? Or maybe, a relationship with a family member, your mom, your dad, cousins, uncles, things like that? The reason I ask that is because oftentimes when people think of love, the first thing they think about is other people. Love is not just limited to other people, though that's, usually how we think of the word. That's usually how we see it being used. Your heart chakra is about love for others, yes, but it's also about love for yourself, love for nature, and love for the creator. The fact that somehow we exist, showing gratitude for that, showing love for that. I'm pretty sure I've said this every single session by now, but I'm going to keep on saying it until, it resonates with someone, right? Because it needs to be said. The more you understand yourself, the more you understand others, right? That higher level of understanding is what helps you act with more compassion, helps you behave with more empathy. It's what makes you more loving, right? So I say all of that because love is powerful. It's free. It costs nothing to use. And honestly, it's one of our most underused resources. When it comes to love, as it pertains to our heart chakra, our hearts are supposed to be open as they can be. The element associated with the heart chakra is air. And like air, we want love to flow freely, both to us and from us. For many, free-flowing love is not possible. There's so many people who are resistant towards intimate relationships, resistant towards even the idea of receiving help from others, which can also be considered a form of love, right? Helping other people. I don't think this is something that just happens naturally. I don't think anyone wakes up one day and decides, I really don't feel like being close to anyone ever. No one does that, right? Something happens, and what happens is people get hurt. And because someone causes you emotional pain, and that pain is so great, so immense, you subconsciously decide that you aren't going to allow yourself to be vulnerable anymore. So people put up barriers, they put up walls, they hide their heart away like a precious jewel deep inside a fortress. The protection is so great that nothing can get in or out. Their heart is protected from being hurt again, but it's also protected from all the joy, the pleasure, and the happiness that comes from having loving relationships. This representation here is not how we want to be, right? We don't want to be guarded in this way. We want our love to be like air, flowing freely. Let's look at the qualities of a balanced heart chakra. You know what? Before I move on to those imbalanced traits, here's a fun fact. Research from the Heart Math Institute has found the heart generates an electromagnetic field around the body. Whether we are consciously aware of our emotions or not, the vibrations of our feelings are emitted into our magnetic field. This energetically affects the moods, the attitudes, and the feelings of people and animals around you. This is why when someone is in a funk, they don't really have to say it. You kind of feel it, right? You can tell, okay, that person's not in the mood right now. I feel like people are often using words and terms carelessly, and they kind of get what it means, but they lack true understanding. When people say the word vibe, which has probably become really super duper overused at this point, but when people say the word vibe, it's short for vibration. And science has shown us now that we emit our feelings out into this field. We are sharing our emotions and moods with the people we spend time with. So I've said this, time and time again, but we are all connected. And this is just one example of how we are scientifically proven how we are connected to each other, right? We can feel and understand each other's energy, each other's moods, without any words ever having to be said. Isn't that so fascinating? Okay, now let's check out the imbalanced qualities for the heart chakra. When your heart chakra is balanced, you will feel things like loving, compassionate, forgiveness, joy, generosity, altruistic, trusting, kind, gratitude, open-hearted, connected to others, and acceptance of yourself as well as others. Now, remember what I just said about the heart's magnetic field? Think about the energy field around the family in this picture, the family that's hugging each other. Isn't that beautiful? It's moments like this that make people cry because they're so overwhelmed with love that they can't contain it anymore, right? It's because everyone's feeling that same vibration of love, and it just creates a beautiful moment, right? I'm sure you've had a moment like this with other people, and if you haven't, I hope you have one soon, right? Hopefully it hasn't been too long. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been struggling with something, some type of turmoil, some problem, some tragedy maybe, and because of the field, right? Someone recognizes that you may need some extra attention, you may need some love, and that someone gives you a big, powerful hug, like that good hug, like that mom hug, like the hug was so good that you were embracing for a minute, right? And you may have even cried because that hug was so good. But after that hug, after that cry, you felt so much lighter, a little bit less burdened. You know what I mean? That is love. That is the frequency of love. That's that person operating with such a high vibration of love in their magnetic field that it makes you feel better. And again, no words were said. It's just understood, and the emotions change how you feel, right? How they feel makes you feel better. Because love is healing. And that is the kind of love that can literally come from anyone. You know, you would think, you kind of need that from like your spouse or a family member, but sometimes you can get a better hug from a stranger in the street than your own family member. You know, not everyone can operate with that high level of love. What I want to point out here is that it's great to be all of these things towards other people. It's even better to be all of these things towards yourself, right? When you can operate with that high level of love for yourself. It's a lot easier to be understanding and accepting of others when you're self-aware and understanding of yourself. Okay, let's look at the out of balance habits for the heart chakra. When your heart chakra is out of balance, you may feel antisocial, jealous, unforgiving, have a fear of intimacy. You might be emotionally guarded, might be angry, judgmental, might feel selfish, be codependent, clingy, or lonely. So many of these traits are related to each other. But I want to first start with judgment, being judgmental. There is a clear difference between discernment and judgment. The difference being, the emotion that you put behind it, right? Taking some facts on something, thinking it over, coming to a reasonable decision, that is discernment. Looking at someone's outfit and going, ugh, what is she wearing? That's judgment, right? There's a clear difference. And, I just want to remind you that we are all connected to each other, right? We all come from the same original source. So, when you judge someone else, you are in some way, shape, or form judging yourself also. Now, if we take a step back and look at some of these, you'll see how some of these attributes kind of loop back into each other, right? Like I said, a lot of these are related to each other. And honestly, that's almost always the case when we go over the out of balance section. Let's say your heart chakra is out of balance and you are feeling unforgiving. Couldn't that lack of forgiveness cause you to feel anger? Couldn't that lack of forgiveness cause you to feel emotionally guarded? If you're emotionally guarded, of course, that can cause intimacy issues, right? And antisocial tendencies, right? You're trying to keep people away so that you don't get hurt. Even things such as selfishness and jealousy, wanting someone to yourself. And, keep in mind when we look at the imbalances, they kind of swing from one spectrum to the other, right? Everything has a polar opposite. So while one person may have intimacy issues where they're just so guarded, they're incapable of having a close relationship with others, another person may have the total opposite problem where they're super clingy, right? Codependent relationships. Being overly into someone, right? Pouring all of yourself into another person is not a healthy form of love. And a lot of people don't realize that. You aren't supposed to give so much of yourself so that there's nothing left for you. Remember, the love is supposed to be flowing freely between you and other people, but it also needs to flow freely from you to you, right? You need to have love for yourself, which means you need to be able to make time for yourself and allow that other person to do the same. That's what happens in a healthy relationship. And this isn't just about romantic relationships, of course, right? This is also about our relationship with friends, our relationship with family members. I feel like I often have to tell other moms this, right? You cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't dedicate 100% of your time into caring and loving and nurturing someone else to the point that there's nothing left for you, right? Until you're tired, you're exhausted, you're drained. If you want to give that person the best, then you need to give them your best self. How are you going to do that if you're exhausted, if you're exasperated, if you're stressed out? I'm in no way, shape, or form saying to not care and make time for, your husband, your children, your significant other, whoever that may be. But you have to make time for yourself. You are not going to receive a cash prize for self-sacrifice, right? Most people aren't going to come and line up to give you a high five or pat you on the back because you made all your time for everyone else and you didn't do anything for yourself. You're not going to get points for that. And at the end of the day, it's only going to leave you drained, you tired, exhausted, like I said. So make that time for yourself. The same goes for friendships, right? If you know that you have goals that you want to accomplish, let's say, things you need to do for yourself, right? Sometimes you just need a moment so that you can get some clarity, so that you can create some more structure in your life. You need time to do that. Sometimes you need to sit alone to contemplate. You can't do that if your friends are always in your face, right? If every time someone goes, hey, you wanna do this, you wanna do that, and you're like, well, okay, because you don't want to disappoint them. That is not the way. Again, there's no cash prize. No one is lining up to give high fives for that. You're not going to receive an award. Make that time for yourself. If you need to say no sometimes, say no. Your self-love is important. You can't fully give the best love to anyone else if you don't have good love for yourself. So what are we going to do to heal the heart chakra? Like I just said, we cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to make some type of self-care practice. Make some time for yourself, even if it's just a few minutes a day. And don't tell me you don't have a few minutes, because you got a few minutes, at least a few minutes, right? I think you're worth a few minutes. And you should think you're worth a few minutes a day too, right? Take a few moments to just sit, breathe, acknowledge how you're feeling, practice some gratitude for just being alive. Go to a spa, go for a walk, meditate, listen to music. do what you need to do, whatever's going to make you comfortable, whatever you define as self-care, right? But make sure you make that time to do it. Another thing is, be open about your feelings. You have to speak how you feel. Far too often, I think we get caught up in the idea that we have to be strong, right? We have to put on a brave face, or we have to prove to other people that we're over something, even though we really aren't. Denial does not benefit you long term. That that's suppression, and that causes more issues, right? Because that's the kind of thing that helps people become guarded, right? Because out loud they're saying, "Oh, I'm over this," or I'm not even worried about that no more." "Oh, I'm not worried about that person. I'm totally over that relationship." But you're not being honest with yourself, and usually you aren't even fooling the people that you're pretending to be over it for. So you have to be open about your feelings, whether that's opening up to someone else about how you feel, or just opening up to yourself. Being honest with yourself about how something made you feel. It's healing. Once you acknowledge your feelings, it should be much easier to speak from the heart, right? It all starts with acknowledgement. Now, when it comes to forgiveness, and this goes back to being open about your feelings, if you have been saying you forgive someone, but there is still an emotional charge whenever you talk about that person, if you feel emotionally disturbed if you see that person, then you have not truly forgiven them. Work still needs to be done there. And that's okay, right? Like I said, the first step is acknowledgement. Just acknowledging that, you know what, maybe I do still have some anger. Maybe I'm still a little bit bitter. That person really hurt me. It's fine to say that. What I want you to remember about forgiveness is that when you forgive someone, it's not for them, it's for you. The forgiveness is for your peace, right? You don't need to announce to them you forgave them. It's for you. It's so that you can be happier, so that you can not have that negative emotional charge when that person is brought up, when that event is brought up, if you see that person. Abandoning negative feelings from the past is not the easiest thing to do. It can be super hard to let go. Really. And I think that's why it's so important to practice gratitude, to show appreciation for the things around you. And we've talked about gratitude quite a few times actually, but it changes your focus, right? Instead of you looking backward into the past at something that hurt you, something that stirred you in some way, you can focus on the here and now. What do you have right now that you can be grateful for, that you can be thankful for? What did you learn from that experience that you can be thankful for? And there is always something that you can be thankful for. Even if it's just you being thankful for the fact that you woke up today and you're alive, you have air in your lungs, you can blink, you can speak, you can think. That's something to be thankful for. So again, the healing practices for the heart chakra are, you want to build a practice of self-care. You want to be open to your emotions. Allow yourself to feel. You need that. You can't suppress how you feel. Speak from the heart, openly express yourself either to others or to yourself, right? Be forgiving. And this is so important. I don't want to forget this part. Not just forgiveness for others, but forgiveness for yourself. Sometimes we're the person who hurt others. We have to forgive ourselves as well. As best you can, abandon negative feelings from the past. We've talked about letting go before. Let go of the feelings that no longer serve you. If they're not making you better in any way, if they're not adding to your happiness, let it go. And start practicing gratitude. Maybe some of those experiences you had were really terrible. But be grateful for what you learned from those experiences. Be grateful that you're here to maybe teach someone else from that experience. Be grateful just to be alive. These are some of the ways you can heal the heart chakra. In addition to the practices previously mentioned, you can also incorporate crystals into your healing practice for the heart chakra. You can use crystals such as emerald, tourmaline, rose quartz, or jade. You can also add sound healing into your practice. You can use meditation bowls. You can use frequency music tuned to the heart chakra. You can also use stretches and yoga poses such as these to open up the chest area. Another great practice is to use color therapy, surrounding yourself with green, wearing green, adding, like I said, green crystals to the decor, even just getting out in nature. That can be very healing for the heart chakra. Naturally, meditation and pranayama are perfect healing practices for any chakra that we go through. Prana, for those who don't know, is life force energy, and the life force energy is your breath. So pranayama exercises are deep breathing exercises that help you manipulate your breath. And when you do these deep breathing exercises, what they do is they stimulate your vagus nerve and they enhance the relaxation. It helps bring clarity to your mind. It helps you relieve tension, reduce stress, reduce pain. It's a great way to start a meditation practice, which is usually how I do it. I'll usually begin with pranayama and then sit to relax into my meditation. Or sometimes you can do it as part of the meditation, right? It's all up to you. Your practice is, of course, your own. As a breath coach, I've been practicing pranayama for quite a few years now, even before I actually even knew what that term was and what I was doing. I had started incorporating it, and it definitely makes a huge difference in your practice. We recently had another workshop for meditation for beginners, and we talked about the use of this, and it was one of the tips that I gave as a way to enhance your meditation practice, right? If you find it difficult to sit still or to concentrate, you can use your breathing exercises as a way to keep you grounded into the present moment, and like I said, to help you relax. Our subconscious mind records everything, every single thing that we do. 95% of what we do every day is habit. The way we think, the way we feel, the things we say, the things we do. Almost all habit. The reason why affirmations are so important is because if we want our life to be different, we have to be different. Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. Repeatedly saying affirmations to ourselves is one way you can implement that change. Our mind is like a computer software program. Our thoughts, feelings, and actions show us what the code of our mind is like. Affirmations are a way to reprogram yourself. Use affirmations as a way to give yourself new code. Reprogram yourself into the person that you want to be, right? As you are is not how you have to remain. Use affirmations to reprogram yourself. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Please make sure to like this video, comment on the video, talk to me. Tell me what you guys think. How do you feel about this information? Is any of this connecting with situations that you have going on, right? And come talk to us during the live events too. We still have events left for this series. Come talk with us. Tell us how you've been feeling about all of the information being shared. Ask questions. Meet people in the group. Like I said, we're starting to become very close knit. It's very enjoyable to get on the phone with these people on a regular basis, and it's nice to have other like-minded individuals that you can share your journey with, right? People always say your spiritual journey is lonely. It doesn't have to be. So come talk with us. And again, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe and the notification bell. It super helps out the channel. It's totally free to do. I swear there's no charge for liking the video. I super appreciate it. All right, so as usual, we are going to have our 5-minute meditation. What I want you to do is take a look at the affirmations on the screen. There's 3 affirmations there. What I want you to do is pick just one. Pick one affirmation that you would like to focus on repeatedly throughout your meditation. I'll give you a moment to decide. Okay, I'm going to assume you have selected your affirmation. I'm going to put on a 5-minute meditation, and as the music is playing, close your eyes, relax, and repeat that affirmation to yourself. You can say the affirmation as slowly or as quickly as you want, but just say it to yourself over and over again. Close your eyes, body relaxed, face relaxed. The meditation will begin with chimes and it will end with bells. When you hear the bells, you'll know the meditation is over. Thanks again.